Hi, and today we're going to be doing a intermediate yoga class on focusing on opening out the heart space and strengthening the back. Please consider all your injuries and medical conditions, and you can always watch it through to find maybe some modifications. It's also important to note that if you are doing this in the evening, is that back bends is what we're going to be doing, and it can be very energetic, which can also keep you up at night. So I would definitely just be aware that if you're going to do it, maybe do it before dinner, not before you go to bed. This isn't a practice that you want to do like straight before you go to bed. Yeah, you'll be up for a few more hours, quite alert. So yeah, just make sure that you consider all those things before practicing, and I hope you enjoy. So we're going to start in a seated position today. That can be on your knees, cross-legged, on your bum, legs out, whatever you feel like you need today. And we're going to settle in. So when you're ready, you can bring your hands down to the knees and you can close your eyes. Have soft eyelids. Find the breath to begin with. Just see if your breath is there, where it's coming from. Is it coming from the nose or the mouth? Maybe you can navigate it towards the nose if it's going through the mouth. And then just begin to think about the heart space. So your chest, your heart, your shoulders, collarbones, how do they feel? And we're going to try and open up that part of our body. And when I mean open up, I mean we're stretching it. We don't have to go too deep in the postures today. Remind yourself that if you don't want to be deep in the postures, that you don't have to be. It's all about your own choices in yoga. You never have to do anything you don't want to. And find that breath going through the nose and down to that heart center. Maybe you feel it with the lungs, where the chest is moving, the ribs are moving. And then just come to think about the spine, how we're seated. Maybe you want to go from the base of your spine, your tailbone, where the bum meets the floor, all the way up to the neck. The neck is part of the spine. It's really important to consider how the neck feels during this practice while we're doing any back bends. And then notice the heart space again. Maybe you can feel the heart space through the spine. So where your heart is, feel where the spine is behind it, the ribs are, the shoulder. And what you might find is that you're very asymmetrical, that you feel different on your left side to your right side, and it might have something to do with the fact that your heart is on your left side. It might not have anything to do with your dominant leg or your dominant arm. It just could simply be because the left side is putting more work in. And just maybe notice how the left side feels and how the right side feels. Find that breath coming in and out of each lung. And then make sure you come back to the breath, see how it feels. Notice the palms of the hand and how they feel now. We're going to bring the palms together at the heart center, keeping our eyes closed. We're going to rub our hands, see if we can build some friction up. Maybe if you're doing this in the morning even, maybe if you're doing this in the morning, that you're warming up for your day, and so maybe your hands are a bit cold. This time of year we forget to make sure that our body is completely warm, and our hands get forgotten sometimes. Maybe our toes do, and it's perfectly fine to wear socks, or just moving our body. It just allows us to warm up for the day, not just for the yoga practice. So rub those hands together and feel the friction build the heat. When you feel like they're warm enough, that you can feel the heat radiating off of them, bring them to your eyes and cover your eyes. Open up the fingertips, flutter the eyes open, the palm. Aware of the room around you. Drop the hands. Take a moment in the space. Feel the space around you. How does it feel? And how do you feel different than how you did at the beginning of the practice? Maybe you find that breath again with your eyes open and see if it's changed at all. And then when you're ready, we're going to start warming up the entire body. We're going to start by just bringing the shoulders up towards our ears and bringing them down. Up and down, warming up slowly. So take your time with it. Remember, if you have any shoulder injuries, that don't push yourself. Really consider the movement and consider how far you want to go. And then you're going to feel maybe a few creaks and cracks, and then you can turn these into maybe some circles, bringing the shoulders towards the front, or bringing the shoulders forward, rolling them forward. When you're ready, bring them back. See how that feels. See whether you can hear your body changing. Make sure you feel your breath going throughout your body still, so you've still got a nice breath. And then when you're ready, find a place of stillness again. Think about the spine, so making sure that we have a nice neutral spine in this place. We don't want to be caving in or bending our back. We want to be in a place which is in between that, and it might mean that our core is slightly engaged, and it also might mean that our shoulders are not being forced away, but they're just dropping relaxed away from the ears. So we're going to bring our hands all the way up, feeling your fingers there stretching towards the ceiling. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, bring them all the way down. We're going to do that one more time, so bring them all the way up. And then as you breathe out, drop them all the way down. Bring your left hand up now. Stretch it all the way up without even coming into a side bend yet. We just want to see if we can stretch, this side of our body by simply pulling the fingers up and up and up and away towards the ceiling. Make sure you take into consideration any injuries. And then you can bring the right hand by the leg, and you can bend towards the right side. Breathe in and out still, and then come back to center. Bring the left hand down. The right hand can come up now, pulling it away, feeling the space in our armpit space opening up. Breathe in and out. And then maybe come into that stretch, that side body stretch, feeling the right ribs stretching. Come back up, don't stay too long. Bring the right hand down, bring your left hand to the right knee. If the right hand comes behind us, we're going to come into a twist, opening up to the right side. Breathing here. As we breathe in, we're going to be bringing our spine nice and strong and straight up, so our head's coming towards the ceiling. And then we're going to twist in our exhale. Come back to center, bring the left hand to the left side, the right hand comes to the left knee, and we're going to twist around to the left side. Again, feeling a rising in our inhale, and as we exhale, a twist. Our neck doesn't have to follow, so it can be in this place where our shoulders are. It doesn't have to go all the way back around. You don't have to be like an owl. And then come back to center. And now we're going to just warm up the neck a little bit more. So bring it to the right side and to the left side. Drop the chin and explore it in a semicircle down towards the chest. Going to the left side and to the right side. And when you're ready, come to a place of stillness. Feel your chin being kind of parallel with the floor. Maybe you close your eyes just to see how you feel. And when you're ready, make your way to all fours. Just a reminder that if any of these postures just don't seem to work for you, you can always drop back so your bums towards your heels into Child's Pose. And it's just a really nice way to find your breath again. It can be quite comforting. Obviously, if you're not really comfortable with Child's Pose, you can always come to a seated position. So whenever you feel like it, if you just need that moment, you can pause the video and come to Child's Pose. So we're going to do some cat-cows now. So consider any padding under the knee possibly, and we're going to also make sure that we're not overextending our arms as I would normally do. So making sure that we're bending our arms nice and strong. We've got to push up, but it's not overextending our arms. My hypermobile yogis out there know what I'm talking about. So we're going to look towards the floor, a nice neutral spine here. Our hips should feel like they're over our knees, our shoulders are over our wrists, and we're going to come into some cat-cows. So we're going to drop the belly, the tailbone's going to lift up, we're going to lift the head. Breathe in here, and as we breathe out, we're going to drop the tailbone and the spine's going to begin to arch. Drop the chin. And as we breathe in, we're going to lift back up and drop the belly. Breathing out, come back into our angry cat. It could be a very happy cat actually, it could be purring. And then come back to neutral. Now we're going to bring it into a little bit more movement. So we're going to bring some circles into our hips, like we're going around, like we can imagine a circle underneath us, and we're going around tracing that circle with our hips. Feeling it maybe in our wrists. This is warming up our wrists as well as our knees and our spine. And then we could bring in possibly some of those cat-cow movements. So as we come back, we can then arch the back like we're in cat. And as we come forward, we can drop the belly like we're in cow. Arching the back as we come back, dropping the belly as we come forward. And then you can change directions whenever you feel like it. If this isn't comfortable, just stick with your cat-cows. Wherever you feel like, take it nice and slow. You don't speed through it, and make sure that you're engaging your arms while you do it. Just warming up that spine. And then come to a neutral position again. We're going to just bring our right hand under our left armpit, and then we can begin to walk that out. The left arm is going to start to bend, and we're going to see if we can find a twist. Maybe the right shoulder comes to the floor, maybe it doesn't. However you might get to this position. Just see how it feels, don't force anything, come back up. And we're going to bring the left hand under the right armpit, doing the same thing, walking the left arm away. Maybe that left shoulder comes onto the floor, maybe it doesn't. Make sure you bend that right arm. Come all the way back up. Take a breath here. And then we're going to lift up into our first downward facing dog of the practice. So tuck the toes under, yep, and then lift all the way up. So your bum comes towards the sky, your heels are actually coming up. I don't want you to be having to ground them down. Lift them up and maybe bend the knees, pedaling the knees. Seeing how it feels, warming up the hamstrings, the back, the shoulders. Take your time here. Obviously, if this is not a comfortable position for you, you can come into child's pose. And then drop the knees back down, drop the belly all the way down to the floor. And we're going to just do some cobras. We're going to start all the way on the floor. Our hands can come under our shoulders and maybe bring our elbows towards us. We can bring our hands forward. If this is just not comfortable, you don't feel ready to lift off your head, you can bring them forward. That might be a bit better for you. You're going to bring your hands, they're grounding onto the floor, so you feel like you can push up, and so your head comes up and maybe your shoulders, maybe the top of your chest. We're going to come into baby cobra, especially to begin with. So we're pushing with our hands, our chest comes up, breathe in, and breathe out, come all the way back down. We're going to do that 2 more times, maybe we get a little bit higher. Breathe in, come up. Breathe out, come down. 1 more time, maybe stay a little bit longer. Breathe in, we're engaging our back muscles. Our hips are grounding into the floor. Our bottom is engaging, so we then can come down and we're protecting our back with our glute muscles engaged. Breathe here for a moment, and then when you're ready, come back up so your knees are on the floor, your hands are on the floor, and make your way back to your downward facing dog. Walk the feet towards the front. Unless you want to stay in a downward facing dog, feel free to pause the video. Your feet come hip distance apart now. Bring your knees into a bend so they're not completely straight. Bring your hands to your elbows and just have a little bit of a sway here. Drop the chin so that you come to your crown of your head facing towards the floor possibly, or beyond the end of the mat. Take a moment here, engaging the legs, bend the knees, feel the grounding on the floor, lift all the way up to standing. Come to your first mountain pose, your Tadasana of the practice. So we're going to do some sun salutations from our Tadasana. We're going to make them a little bit more challenging each one we do. We're going to do 3 in total. So obviously take your own modifications into the practice, but maybe think about if this is something that you're very used to, maybe think about how you can make it maybe more challenging for you. I'm going to obviously demonstrate the way that I want you to do it, but you don't have to do it like this. So we're going to lift our hands up. We're going to feel our feet grounded to the floor. Maybe our palms come together. I'm going to keep mine apart. Our shoulders come away from the ears. We bring the hands all the way down. And as we do, we come into a forward fold. Tuck the chin, bend the knees to begin with. Bring the hands, either the hands to the thighs or the calves. Push up so you come into a nice flat back position. Breathe in and out, come all the way down, bend the knees, come down all the way to hands and knees. You can come into a plank here, so how we're going to do that is we're going to stretch out the right leg, stretch out the left leg, strong arms here, so we're in a nice straight position, drop the knees, drop the belly towards the floor, come all the way down. So that was just doing it without too much engagement of the shoulders, but you could also do a chaturanga. Lift up, baby cobra, engage the glutes, come back down. Then come all the way back to your hands and knees. Tuck your toes under, lift up to your downward facing dog. Bend the knees. Maybe you find stillness. Maybe you just want to feel your hamstrings warming up and your shoulders pushing back. Your gaze can go to your toes, your knees. And we're going to stay here for 2 more breaths. Walk all the way to the front of the mat. Feet in hip distance. Come up to your flat back from here, then drop down into your forward fold. Bend the knees so your belly comes towards the thighs. Maybe they touch, maybe they don't. Come all the way up. Lift the hands back up. Bring them all the way down. Take a breath here. And we're going to do our next one. So lift the hands. Bring them all the way down. Remember that breath. Come into your forward fold. Maybe you keep the legs straight, so maybe you're a little bit further away from your legs, or maybe you bend them still. Tuck the chin, then lift up. Push on the calves, lift up. Nice flat back. Shoulders away from the ears. Drop down so your hands meet the floor. Step back into your plank or your all fours. Drop the knees. Then we're going to roll the elbows in so they're facing the back of the mat. We're going to bring our chest down and our chin. And then come all the way so our belly meets the floor too. Lift up to your Cobra. Maybe you lift a bit further this time. Engage those glutes. Come all the way down. Come all the way back now. Up to your all fours. Tuck the toes. Come up into your downward facing dog. Tuck the chin. Look towards those knees. Take a breath here. And instead of walking up, we might step up. So stay in your downward facing dog for a moment longer. We'll do a few more breaths here. But as an example of a way you can travel up is you can just do one big step and meet up, or you can continue to walk up. And if hopping up is something that you do to get to the front of the mat, you can do that. It's really allowing yourself to explore the movements that I'm putting in place in your own way. So I'm going to step up to the front of the mat, bending my knees, lifting up to my halfway lift, pushing on the calves, shoulders away from the ears, dropping down into my forward fold. I could bend my knees here. My feet are going to be hip distance apart. And then I can push all the way up. Standing, lift the hands up. Maybe I look at them. Bring them all the way down. We'll do that one more time. So here you really can now do whatever you want. You've seen a few different variations. You can do what you want. I'm just going to give you a little bit more of a challenging one and see if you want to do that in your sun salutation. So if you just want to stick with the first one we did, then you're welcome to either go back into the video and have a look at what I did there. Otherwise you can just keep following along. So we're going to lift our hands all the way up. We feel our feet grounding as we come forward. Bend the knees if you need to. Even just a micro bend just helps you feel like you're going further forward. Or you could have straight legs. Tuck the chin. And then push on the calf, straighten the legs, come into a flat back. So I could put a full glass of water on your back and it wouldn't spill. And then bring the hands all the way down. So your hands come down, you step back into plank. Now you could do a chaturanga here, bring the elbows back, or you can then drop the knees and you could come all the way to your knees, chest, chin on the floor, then bring your belly to the floor and lift up to your cobra. If this is okay, but you do want to make it a little bit harder, you could also lift up to your upward facing dog But otherwise you can stick with your Cobra, come back down, come to all fours, or maybe you go from your upward facing dog to downward facing dog, or you can go from all fours to your downward facing dog. Just seeing how you feel with it, how your body feels, if it's warm enough. Staying here for 5 lovely long breaths. Look towards those toes, those knees, pedal the legs, maybe find a moment of stillness. Walk all the way to the top of the mat when you're ready. Come into your nice forward fold at the top of the mat. Maybe that bend in the knee, maybe straighten them and fold forward. Feel your hamstrings possibly. Maybe feel your back. Lift all the way up, push with the feet, come all the way up, lift the hands up. Bring them all the way down. Lovely. So you should feel nice and warm from those sun salutations, and it also just allowed you to explore different postures. We're going to come into chair pose for our first standing posture, and we're going to think about the floor for a minute. Think about maybe how we can ground ourselves down. So you can come into a place where your feet are hip distance apart, and the best way to check that is if you bring your big toe of one of your feet to the other foot, it comes to the middle of the foot. So it's roughly hip distance. So it should feel nice and comfortable. You can always make it a little bit wider if that's not comfortable still. So we're going to breathe here, take a moment, drop the shoulders away from the ears. You could close your eyes if you want to just feel the floor underneath you for a moment. And then from here we're going to go into our Uttanasana. And we're going to bring our hands to the waist to begin with. We're going to drop our bottom down and we're going to bend our knees, coming into chair pose. It can be quite intense for our thighs, but it's also strengthening for them. Look up, nice strong feet. But when you look down, you can still see your toes. If you feel like you can drop a little bit deeper, drop a little bit deeper, lift the hands. So you can lift them above your head. You could shoot them out by your side. You could bring the palms together, whatever you feel like. Breathe here. Your chest should be beaming now, so it's not caving in, it's beaming. Come all the way up. So we could do that a few more times. We're going to do it twice more, but if you want to do it more, go right ahead. We're going to lift the hands up to begin with this time, then we're going to drop the bottom down. Make sure we can see those toes when we look down. Breathe here. Lift back up. Maybe you could feel a bit of a shake. That's okay. It's fine if our body shakes. If it becomes too intense, obviously you can lift back up. One more time. Bring the palms so they're facing each other above us. Drop down. Feel free to have your hands on your waist still. Drop your bottom a little bit lower. Bring the hands back into cactus arms. Stretch that chest forward. Bring yourself all the way up. Nice and strong. Take a moment. Breathe here. Breathe in and out. And then bring your hands to your waist. Drop down into a forward fold. You can have straight legs. Your hands are still, your feet even, are still in hip distance. So you could have straight legs. If you have got straight legs, try and make sure your bum's not going like too out of the midline. We want them to be nice so your feet are feeling the weight of yourselves on all parts of our feet. So the toes, the heel, the arches. Drop a little bit more maybe. Maybe those knees straighten. Tuck the chin for a moment. Plant the hands. Bring the feet back to downward facing dog. Breathe in here. And we're going to lift the right leg up. The left foot is going to come into the midline. Lift the right leg up. Breathe. And then bring it back down. Going to do that one more time. So lift that right leg all the way up. And then see maybe if you can do some little circles with your toes. Engage the core. Then we're going to bring this right leg, we're going to pull it all the way through, bending at the knee. Maybe we come into almost plank arms, strong shoulders. Plant the right foot. Maybe it doesn't get this far, maybe it stops here. Just try and get it all the way so that your foot can plant on the floor. Drop the back knee. Coming in to a low lunge, lift up. Engaging the core. Breathe here. Lift the hands up. Look forward. And then maybe you come into cactus arms. So they come all the way so their elbows are parallel with the shoulders. The hands come back now. So then you come into a nice arch in your back. Bend in your back even. Opening the chest forward. Come back. Bring yourself to a high lunge by tucking the toes under, strong legs. We're really focusing on strengthening the legs right now. Come all the way up to your high lunge, so you're straightening that back leg so that the knee lifts off the floor. Turn the back foot out, come into warrior one. So our hips are facing towards the front of our mat and our foot is slightly turned out. If you feel like your hips can't turn, or you feel just a bit uncomfortable with your hip joints, feel free to move that back foot out. But just explore the posture for a moment by lifting your arms up as well. So you can have your hands all the way up, or again you could stick with those more cactus arms. Maybe focus on pushing the chest through. Coming into a back bend, you could lift the head, not all the way back. And then bring yourself so your hands come behind you, interlace the fingers, hips still facing forward. Beam the heart up, pull the hands down, shoulders come back. You get a nice stretch in the chest here. If it's too intense, come out of it. And then come forward into humble warrior if that's what you want to do here. Doesn't have to be all the way down the leg. Just see how it feels. Maybe lift the hands up a little bit further. Bring yourself all the way back up. Turn the back foot out a little bit more. Bend the knee. We're going to bring the forearm to the thigh. Hand comes to the waist. Or maybe the left hand lifts up. Maybe you look at it. Feeling a stretch in the groin and in the side body. And then bring the hand back to the waist. Bring yourself all the way up. Turn that back foot back so you're in a high lunge. Your hands can be on your waist. They can come up. They can come to cactus arms. You should begin to lower the hips down in your high lunge. Really strong legs here. We're strengthening those legs. Come all the way down. We're going to bring the left hand by the right foot, the inside of the right foot. You're going to open up towards the right. This hand could come up, or it could stay on the waist, or it could just stay on the right thigh. Look up. Breathe. Then bring your gaze back down. Bring yourself back up into just a low lunge. Well, not just a low lunge. Into your low lunge. And then bring this knee to meet with this knee in the back of the mat. And we're going to come into camel pose. We're going to do a really nice gentle camel pose to begin with. So we're going to bring our heels of our hands are going to face like this on our back. So I'll show you. So they're going to be facing each other. And we're going to beam our heart forward, opening up. We can feel our space hip of our shoulders stretching, and then we can feel our collarbones opening up and our chest opening up forward in front of us. It's beaming forward, and then we can begin to come into a back bend here by bringing those hips further forward and dropping our shoulders back, tuck the chin here. Maybe we lift the head, maybe we don't. Come back up. From here, plant the hands, come back into your downward facing dog. If you need to, go into child's pose here for a moment. We'll meet in downward facing dog. Lift the left leg up. Pointing that foot really, really far. And then bring it back down. So the right foot comes to the midline when we, which is right in the center of your mat, when we lift the left foot up. So we bring our right foot in, the left foot comes up, we feel a stretch. Maybe do some circles with the left foot. We'll feel a stretch loads of places in our body. Just notice where you feel it. If it's not right, stop. And then bring that left foot forward. So wherever it might land here. Just try and shuffle it so it plants all the way to the floor. Drop the back foot, lift up so that your body comes into your low lunge again. You can then bring your feet so they're either stretching out that ankle or maybe stretching out the toes, just depending on how you feel. Take a breath here, take a moment. Bring the hands up, bend the elbows, come into cactus arms. Bring so the elbows are trying to meet. They're never going to get there, but they're trying to meet together. Hands facing forward, the palms of the hands facing forward, beaming the chest forward as well. And then come back to center. We're going to lift up into our high lunge again. So remembering strong legs. Remember your strong back leg. You can have your hands on your waist. You can then push with that back leg. Oop, and then you can lift the arms up or have them back in cactus arms. Turn the back foot out. Come into your warrior one on your left side. Try and make sure that you can feel the edge of the back foot. Remind yourself that you don't have to be parallel your feet. They can be out a little bit depending on how your hips feel. Lift the hands, drop the hips down, bend the front knee, look up. Maybe you've got cactus arms, so you're just feeling that opening in your chest. Bring the hands behind you, interlace the fingers, pulling down. So now your chest is lifting. You can tuck the chin, or maybe you look up, strong, proud warrior. That front foot is still bent, and then you can lift the hands up, humble warrior. Maybe the hands lift a little bit further, maybe they don't. Again, my hypermobile yogis, I can feel it in myself. Try and get a little bend in your elbows. Then lift all the way up, still bending that front knee, turn the back foot out. Forearm comes to the thigh, lift up, so you roll, so your chest is facing outward. Come into your side angle. Lift the hand up, look towards that top hand. Maybe we don't, this depends on how we feel. Lift, bring the hand back to the waist. Lift yourself back up, turn that back foot so you come back into your high lunge. Lift the arms, maybe just keep them on your waist. Come down to your low lunge. In our low lunge, we're going to bring our right hand to be on the inside of our left foot, and we're going to make sure that we're trying to open up the chest. Then maybe we lift the hand. Going to open up the chest, maybe then we lift our left arm. Maybe we don't. Maybe we keep it on the thigh or on the hip. So when we open up, we can even feel our left shoulder coming into a parallel position with our right shoulder. Come all the way back down, and then bring yourself all the way back up. Nice neutral position again with our spine here. Bring the left knee to meet the right knee at the back. with maybe a possible camel pose here. Maybe you're going to child's pose. I'm going to go to camel pose just one more time, but it's going to be a little bit of a stronger posture. It's going to be a little bit deeper as well. So we've got to make sure that we engage our back muscles here. So once we come into that back bend, we're engaging our glutes, and it's really important for our lower back. So using your hands, you can bring your hands back behind you so that you can feel your hips come forward, and then we're opening up the chest. Roll the shoulders back, come so your hips are coming forward, your shoulders are coming back, and you're coming into that back bend. Your chest is beaming forward, opening out. Maybe then you could bring the head back. Engage the glutes. Maybe you drop your hands down to meet your heels. Try and get those hips still going towards the front of the mat. And then lift back up. Strong glutes, strong back. Breathe in and out here. You're coming back to a nice neutral position. And then everybody bring the knees as wide as the mat, toes come together, sit back into your child's pose. Take a moment, find the breath. Sometimes sometimes in back bends we forget to breathe, and I understand that could be really hard to remember because you've got so much going on. But if we don't breathe, then there's not yoga. It stops being nourishing and it starts being quite harmful. It's just making sure that we come back to the breath. And if you feel like you've not found your breath, come back to a seated position or child's pose, find that breath again. So then from here, we're going to plant the hands again. We're going to lift up into downward facing dog. Walk forward to the front of the mat. Maybe you just step forward, come back into a forward fold. Take a moment here and then lift all the way up back into your Tadasana. Take a moment in your Tadasana. Hands come to the waist. And here we're going to explore dancer pose. So if you have a wall next to you, if you've never explored dance pose, it can be quite difficult from the point of view if you're using a back bend in a standing balance. So you're on one leg, but you're also doing a back bend. So if you feel like you need that wall just for security, feel free to use it, whatever wall you have. They'll all do. Even if you just have a chair or maybe the side of your bed, that will also work too. So you can use a wall here by bringing your hand forward and then coming into a calf stretch that is kind of like just a hamstring curl. And you can engage your core here and you can be really comfortable. If you don't want to use the wall though, you can just do it in the space that you're in. So finding the weight coming onto our left foot to begin with, our right foot's going to lift up. Again, if you've got the wall in front of you, that's really, really nice. It's really supportive for you. You can bring it up to that curl, that hamstring curl, and then you can bring the left arm up if that's something that you're ready to do. Once you're in this position, you can then begin to bring the right knee up, and so it comes out and it's kicking back into that right arm, right hand, and it lifts up possibly. Maybe you come forward, or maybe you try and stay a little bit more upright, coming into more of a back bend. You're nice and warmed up for it. If this feels right, then you can stay in it, or you could go back to standing. Maybe you go deeper into it. Bring yourself back up, come back to standing, maybe with a few wobbles. So just remembering that also opening the hips. We don't want our hip to come back when we're coming into our dance pose. So I'm going to show the next bit with a bit of a different angle so you can just see that my hips are not coming back, they're staying parallel with each other. So that I'm not gonna, I think it helps with not with wobbling, but also it's just that having that so it's less harmful for yourself, so you're not putting weight into solely into your leg that you're standing on. So I'm going to kind of do it at a little bit of a tilt so that you can see where my hips are going. I'm going to put my weight onto my right foot this time and come into my left leg hamstring curl. So my hand is on the top of the foot. My other hand's going to come up and it's going to begin to open up. Maybe the hand goes round the foot, maybe it doesn't. And I could come forward here, but I find that makes my hips move too much and I kind of move them out. So you might not want to do that, you might just want to come into it without coming forward. Coming into that back bend, that standing balance back bend. Come back down. Staying here as well is really nice, so if you don't want to move your knee back, you could just stay in your hamstring curl and kick the foot into the hand, so that's also another option. Bring your feet all the way down, feel yourself steadying yourself here. Take a moment, and when you're ready we're going to make our way to the floor, to our bums. So when we come onto the floor, however we get there, we're just going to come into our staff pose, our Dandasana. And just keeping our feet in front of us, we're going to try and feel those toes though flex towards us, especially if our legs are straight. It just means that we're engaging our calf muscles. And we're going to bring ourselves to that nice neutral spine again, so lifting that chin so it's nice and parallel with the floor, the head's going towards the sky, and our hands can come beside us if that's something that we're comfortable with and that's something that we want. Otherwise, if that's like it just hurts your elbows, especially my hypermobile yogis, then try not to push off too much. Just try and bend the elbows and also like relaxing the shoulders down so you don't feel all strung up here and all around your shoulders all tense. Just relax them down and just try to get comfortable in the posture even though you're still engaged in your legs. Take a moment here, we'll come into a forward fold when we're ready. When we're ready, we'll bring our hands forward, so they're walking forward as we come into a forward fold. Our forehead comes maybe towards the thighs, maybe it doesn't, maybe this is enough, maybe we come a little bit further. You can feel this in your hamstrings possibly, maybe in your back. Come back up when you're ready. Take a moment. And then bring your hands so they come again by your side. A nice thing is when you have them a little bit further away, I find. Bend your knees so they plant the floor. We're going to lift up into a reverse tabletop. So starting with a nice bend in our elbows especially, we're going to push off with our hands and our feet are going to push off. So we come into literally like we could have a cup of coffee on our bellies and it wouldn't fall off. I mean, it would be impressive if that happened. You can tuck the chin here and you just feel for a moment the breath coming in naturally. Bring the bottom down to the floor. Lift it back up. See if you can get that chest coming towards the sky. Bring yourself back down when you're ready. And then bring your hands, your feet even back out. Take a moment. Bring your hands forward. Just begin to do some circles with your wrists, making sure that they're okay. Maybe I quite like it when I rub my thumb against the joint, just because it just feels really nice, like kind of massaging it and giving your wrists a break for the rest of the session. We're going to come all the way to the floor and we're going to explore bridge pose. So bring yourself to a semi-supine position so your feet are flat on the floor, your knees are off towards the sky, and we're going to come in to our bridge pose. So again, we want to think about, we've done this before, we're going to think about our pelvis. So our pelvis can move how deep our back bends are really. They're a very key part in our back bends, and so when we push the pelvis down towards the floor, we come into more of a back bend on the floor, and then when we tilt the pelvis up so that our hips are coming more towards the floor. Our back becomes flush with the floor, and we begin to engage our core. We want our back to come engaged, so we're going to push our feet when we've got our back flush with the floor, and then we come up to a back bend, and our pelvis will tilt so that our glutes become engaged and our back becomes engaged. You can bring your hands by your side, or maybe they clasp underneath, whatever feels right for you. Breathe here. Come back down. Feel the spine on the floor again. Where is it in the space on the floor? You can do that a few more times, but I'm gonna just bring my knees towards my chest, and I'm gonna rock from side to side. It can just feel really nice on the lower spine, because then you just feel your back getting massaged against the floor, and it feels really natural and organic. And you can make it as small as you want or as big as you want. Maybe you begin to rock from side to side, that you come into a twist. And then everyone's going to bring their knees to the chest if they've not already got it there. And bring your knees a little bit away. Bring your knees towards the left side, and our right shoulder's going to stay on the floor. So we might be floating in space. Lay the left arm down. Or maybe we twist a little bit further, just making sure that our right shoulder is connected with the floor. Breathe in and out, look over towards that right shoulder. Bring yourself back up using your core. Breathe here. Bring your bring your knees towards your right side, your left hand still straightening out. Oh, I ran out of room. Hold on. Bring your knees towards the right side. Maybe they float in space. Just try and ground that left shoulder in with the floor. Hands stretch out. Breathe here. Look towards that left shoulder. Make your way back up. Bring your knees towards your chest. Breathe. And then bring your knees apart and begin to bring your hands towards your ankles. So they might not get there, they might just stick with the calves, they might get to the ankles, they might get to the feet. So it just depends on your own range of motion here. And try and then ground your lower back into the floor. Maybe then you bring it back more to the ankles. Maybe they don't reach the feet. But I want your lower back on the floor in this happy baby, because then you can then rock from side to side just like we were doing before. But we've got that massaging against the floor that our lower back will need after doing back bends. Maybe our hands are just on the thighs. Take your time here, and when you're done with your happy babies, begin to stretch yourself out to the floor, coming into your Shavasana. Begin to bring the right foot down, the left foot down, stretch them out, bring the backs of the hands to the floor, and if you feel like you need a blanket, socks, a jumper, a cushion under your head, feel free to put that here. Also nice, a cushion under your knees. Whatever you feel like in this space. Use the things around you to support you. And when you're ready, close your eyes, open the hands towards the sky. Breathe here. Relax the body towards the floor. When we relax the body towards the floor, we begin to feel the heels maybe rocking, so our toes come towards the floor. And maybe then our calves and our thighs naturally rock outwards just by the gravity, allowing the body to come into its natural form here. We can find back bends very unnatural in a way, and so coming to our Shavasana at the end of our class is just coming back to a space which is normal, which is organic, which is needed. See if the breath is coming into the hands, or maybe the shoulders are coming away from the ears. Allow the breath to come to a place where you notice it travelling through the body, relaxing each part of the body. The breath comes in through the nose and down towards the toes. We start with the right foot and see if we can relax that foot even more. So feeling the pinky toe of our right foot is beginning to relax in our Shavasana, coming towards the floor, maybe not touching it, but just there in space, relaxing. We're not in control of what it's doing, it's just there. Acknowledging the toe next to it and the middle toe, the next toe and the big toe, just relaxing them. And then acknowledge the edge of the foot, the arch of the foot, and the ball of the foot, the heel of the foot on the floor, the ankle, the calf, the thigh. Acknowledge the knee, the space under the knee, the hip. Acknowledge the hips, both hips, and the glutes on the floor. And then acknowledge the left pinky toe relaxing. You can feel it in the space, it's floating there. It might feel different to the other one, you're just noticing it though. Then the next toe, the middle toe, the one after that, and the big toe. You can feel them relaxing in the space. And then begin to find the edge of your foot weighing down towards the floor, relaxing them. The ball of your foot, the arch of your foot, the top of your foot and the heel of your foot, just relaxing them down. Your ankle, your left calf, left thigh, the knee, the space underneath your knee, and your left hip. The glutes, both hips, both legs, relaxing them to the floor. Relaxing the core and the side body. Relaxing them down. The left side body, the right side body. The arch of your spine, the left side and the right side, relaxing them. And then the top of your spine, your rib cage, your left side, your right side, your chest, your collarbones and your shoulders, the left shoulder, the left pinky, the left ring finger relaxing down, the left middle finger, the left pointing finger, the thumb, the palm of the hand, the back of the left hand, they're relaxing, you acknowledge them and they relax. The forearm, the wrist and the elbow relax. The top of the arm relaxes. The shoulder. the shoulder, the collarbone, the neck, the right shoulder, the right pinky, the right ring finger relaxing down, the right middle finger, the right index finger and the right thumb. The palm of your hand, the back of your hand, the wrist, forearm, elbow, top of your arm, shoulder, the neck, collarbones, the top of your spine, the part that's in contact with the floor, the back of your head relaxes. Your tongue relaxes down away from the roof of the mouth. Your forehead, your eyelids relax, your jaw relaxes, your eyelids relax, your breath becomes soft and you acknowledge it. And you acknowledge the silence around you and you focus on that sound the breath will be making in the silence. Acknowledge the feeling of the breath throughout the body, relaxing it down. And then when you're ready, begin to bring a bit of movement into your fingers, your toes. Bring each finger to the thumb, padding on the little pads at the end of your fingertips. And bring your knees towards your chest. Maybe feel a little rock from side to side again. Come to your favorite side. Stay here as long as you need to, but when you're ready, come all the way up to seated. Do not open your eyes, just come to seated. Find your breath here. Hands come to the heart. Take a moment. Bow towards your hands and just thank yourself. Thank yourself for coming on the mat. I thank you for practicing with me today. And I just think you need to thank yourself, thank your body, thank your mind, thank your heart for everything it gives you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Oh my god, what happened to the light? It's just gotten super bright. And, hopefully I can change that. I can change that. I know I can.